bloodbaths, torture, sex with the devil. The macabre story of Elizabeth Bathory. He true bloody Countess. Epileptic from birth, the death of her husband unleashed her most bloodthirsty side. He began with the daughters of the peasants, and, when he finished with them all, he continued with those of the nobles. Killed more than 600 girls in 2 decades. Elizabeth Bathory was born in 1560 into a family of the high Hungarian nobility, and from a young age she showed signs that she was not going to have a normal life. She suffered from epilepsy, but the lack of knowledge at the time about the disease caused her to be treated like a girl possessed by the devil, and they even thought she had supernatural powers. If you liked the video, subscribe and like it so you can help me create more content like this. Thank you. As tradition dictated, at the age of 11 the family arranged a marriage with her cousin Ferenc Novosti. Instead of submitting to him and dedicating herself to maintaining the house and raising a family, Elizabeth wanted to cultivate herself and managed to be allowed to study as if she were a man. This is how he managed to learn Latin and German. Violence was part of the daily life of the couple, who lived in the castle of Countess, in what is now Slovakia. Ferenc was known as the Black Knight for his habit of impaling enemies after a battle. Elizabeth's penchant for beating service members was also known. This love for the use of force led them to comment on the most original ways to punish servants, a custom widespread in Eastern Europe. Ferenc lost his life on the battlefield, and Elizabeth was widowed at the age of 44. Her already disrupted personality was aggravated by the death of her husband, and she began to behave like a true psychopath. The first victims were her husband's relatives. He didn't leave any of them alive. There began the legend of the Bloody Countess. Rumors soon began to spread that he did witchcraft. Specifically, they accused her of doing red magic on young girls from the castle. The rumors reached King Matthias II, who ordered an investigation. Upon entering the castle, there were corpses of bleeding young women scattered everywhere. In the basement there was an unbearable stench, and a series of torture machines. Elizabeth tortured them to death, drank their blood and bathed in it to be eternally young and beautiful. The Bloody Countess chose her victims among the peasants' daughters, and offered them work. Deceived, he took them to the castle, locked them up, beat them brutally, and left the luckiest ones to starve to death. It wasn't usual. Elizabeth liked to recreate and made the girls suffer. She stuck pins under their nails, sadistically bit their breasts, branded them with red-hot irons, covered them in honey and left them exposed to bees. They would freeze to death and cut off their fingers, and even their genitals. Not content with killing the daughters of the peasants, she began to do so with the girls of the town and those of the nobles, to whom she offered a free education to get them to accept her offer. Despite rumors and suspicions, the Bloody Countess, she remained unpunished for 2 decades, between 1590 and 1610. Finally, King Matthias II commissioned the opening of an investigation, and after months of work and interviewing more than 300 witnesses, they decided to put Elizabeth on trial, accused of murder, torture, vampirism, and even having sexual relations with the devil himself. She was charged with the murder of 80 girls, despite the fact that one of the witnesses stated that she saw the diary in which the Countess noted the names of her victims, and the number exceeded 650. Elizabeth was tried in the town of Bytia, belonging to the nobility. He used his privileges and refused to appear and also to testify. The workers who had not been victims of the Countess were forced to testify. One of the butlers witnessed how Elizabeth killed 37 girls between the ages of 11 and 26. All those who testified were convicted as accomplices and sentenced to death. But the Countess avoided execution, and was locked up for life in a tower of the castle where she died for years later without having maintained contact with anyone. His only connection to the outside was a hole in the wall through which they passed his food. After her death, she was transferred to Ext, where she was buried in the family crypt. If you liked the video, subscribe and like it. See you soon.